Aloha kako, and welcome to our very first Miss Happy Mess Happy Hour. So excited you guys are here. And I am very excited because my producer, the producer of Miss Happy Mess, is also here, Jill Dickerson. Jill.
Hey, guys.
I got her to agree to this, guys, because I promised she would not be on camera.
Yes. Did you hear my deep exhale?
Yeah. Yes. But honestly, we have been putting together this podcast for a while, and I could not think of a better person to kind of go through the episode, kind of do a deeper dive, and what we sort of learned. There's definitely takeaways I had, and I wanted Jill to be involved in this because I think she's the most engrossed set of eyeballs. That sounds gross. That's not how I meant. It sounds very
No.
moist and gross.
No, I think also we feel like this is an opportunity to slow down because this is our first podcast. And we have been racing to the finish line since January when Kim had the idea and started showing up at my dining room table just to be like, okay, what ideas are we going to talk about this week? And so we feel like it's almost this beautiful miracle that we launched it after, thinking about, should we push it? Are we ready?
Yep.
And I feel like it's just a fun opportunity to slow down and talk about it and respond to all you amazing listeners who've had cool comments in the chats.
Yeah.
And to answer some of the questions that we didn't get a chance to answer it during the shoot.
Totally.
Yeah. And just enjoy it.
I mean, one question I wish I had answered during the shoot with Kelly, who was fabulous, by the way. And I want to shout out to Kelly because she's such a dear friend and she's so candid and so truthful and just a ray of sunshine.
Yeah.
But she asked me, why did I have two kids? Once you have one kid and you know it's painful, and it was very painful, why did I go and have a second kid? And I never answered that. And I've seen different comments and stuff of why we have second kids and stuff. And I think it is because there is something about us as humans that certain kinds of pain, it's not like we forget it. Like we don't have amnesia, but our body sort of releases it so that we can be brave to do it again. And I think with childbirth, it's one of those situations. Like, I remembered how much pain I was in. I was in labor for 42 hours, you guys. And 36 of those hours were with no drugs whatsoever.
You have to tell the surfboard story.
Oh, yeah. So
why was it so painful, Mama Kim?
It was so painful because as the bright 20-something-year-old who was pregnant, I was so tired by the time I was 8 months pregnant of not being in control of my own body and kind of feeling like an alien was growing in there that I wanted to go surfing. I had been surfing regularly up until then, and I was desperate to get in the water. And so I went surfing when I was 8 months pregnant. I did not lay down on the board. I got paddled out and I got pushed into the wave. And some amazing pictures are somewhere in Japan with these tourists who took this picture of this girl with a huge belly surfing Waikiki at canoes. And it was a super chill wave and I felt so alive and I loved it. And then I kicked out and jumped off my board like I normally do. And I didn't realize it at the time until I started labor that I had pulled my uterus ligaments. And so my labor was incredibly painful because my uterus ligaments were pulled and every time I had a contraction, it felt like somebody was stabbing me. We didn't know that until later. So I had so much pain that by the time she was born, I did have the epidural, which fell on the floor. It was dripping. It was a mess. It was a messy, messy birth. But when she came, I was so in love in a way that I have never been in love before. And as she got older, I remembered how much pain I was. I'm telling the story because I remember it. I didn't lose memory, but there was some distance between the actual physicality of it. And then by the time she was leaving preschool, at that point, I felt like she was going to college when she was going to go to kindergarten. I was like, oh my God, she's going to kindergarten. Like, we should have another child. And I did. I was ready to have another child, even though I knew how painful it was because something about the actual visceral feeling of the pain was sort of behind me.
Yeah, I think there's also something about a baby's smile, about playing with your toddler, about their first words, about just the love in their eyes that erases whatever pain you felt, during childbirth.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I agree. And I think there's something similar about love,
Yeah.
because we fall in love and we have our hearts broken. And
Mhm.
it is
Shredded.
shredded. And it's so painful.
Yeah.
I love that you say shredded and then you laugh.
No.
But the pain of love can be so intense, We stop eating, we stop sleeping, we feel insane, like all of these things. And yet we are brave enough as people to fall in love again because somehow over time we don't forget it, but we're removed from it. So we're able to do it again. And I think pregnancy is similar.
Mm.
And then, also every pregnancy is different. Like my second child, her labor was very different than the first. I also didn't serve because I was older and wiser. So I wish I had answered that in the Kelly question because she very specifically asked me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Was there anything that you wish was said in that podcast?
Oh, it was a perfect podcast.
Says the producer.
It was so funny. It was so amazing to be sitting there. Our other producer, Crit, was there with us watching. He was laughing the whole time. And it just felt so good because it felt so natural.
Mm-hmm.
So in the moment, no, there wasn't anything that I wish had been answered. But I know there's probably other questions that have come up since then.
In our comments.
Yeah.
What questions?
Should we look at them?
Yes.
I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, let's open.
Yes.
We're kind of obsessively just like looking and seeing what people have to say because it's so fun.
Oh my God. Some of the comments have been cracking me up. I got a personal DM from a listener and she was talking about the panties section and I was literally dying out loud laughing about this. She said, oh yeah, I totally fold my panties. But I don't roll them because I would not make spring rolls. I would make burritos.
That is so funny.
And I was like, I get it. I don't know if I would make a spring roll either. I would probably be like, yeah, definitely a burrito.
Oh, yeah. This person said, I guess you can measure a person's character by how they treat their underwear.
I know. It means I don't have a good character.
I remember the years of having laundry on the couch, so I can relate to the guys who were like, yeah, I'm not folding my shit right now.
Yeah, but there was one guy who was like, he totally folds his shit.
Yeah.
His wife doesn't. And what is that love language?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. What other comments?
Yeah, what other comments were there? We actually, it's almost interesting because I was expecting more interest in the panty stuff, but then the hormones conversation is raging.
Yeah, hormones are raging.
Right? Well, I think that's the cool thing. It brings out a lot of feelings in everybody who's watching. Yeah. Because some people agree, some people disagree, some people fold their panties, some people don't. Some people think that you should stop dating when you're 58. Other people are like, we're just getting started and you're hot.
Totally.
Which is, makes some of us feel good as we continue to age, like everyone on the planet will do.
Yes. There was even somebody who was like, people are having sex into their 80s.
Yeah.
And then yeah, right. And then with the other person being like, people stop dating when they're 50. I was like, wow, these are very varying views of life. Yeah, for each their own. And by the way, we're never trying to tell you what you need to do. We're just trying to give insight into what we're doing over here.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is somebody also asked, I think in one of the questions, I don't know where it was, but like, originally, when we had kind of first talked about this episode, we were thinking the original title was called The Dating Cesspool. Remember that?
Yes.
Why was that the title, Kim? Where were you when we kind of came up with this idea for a topic?
I mean, well, we have to do a total other episode on apps because I feel like early on, I was in a 20-year relationship and I have 2 kids, like I said. And I, a few years ago, had to leave that relationship. And after the pain and the separation and kind of regrouping, I realized I think I'm going to start dating again, like when I was ready. And I went onto these apps and you guys, I have not dated since the early 2000s and there were no apps. And it was life-changing, crazy, upsetting, scary, titillating. Like, having to make a profile for people to be attracted to you like a meat market, like a digital meat market, seemed incredibly insincere and artificial. And I think my mind was like, this is a cesspool. And the fact that you're just swiping on people seems so vapid. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I think I started the idea around that experience and how scary it is. And by the way, we totally need to do an episode on dating after long-term marriages and relationships, and also getting on those fucking apps because they are
Totally.
insane.
And I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it, but didn't you have like a little thing, like if you were on a date and were not interested after 5 minutes?
I actually highly recommend if you're starting those dating apps and you're not sure, also for safety. I had a great friend. I want to thank my friend Andy. I would always tell him where I was meeting, when I was meeting, and then he would call me 5 minutes into the date he's a writer, so he had a beautiful scene already prepared, and he would call me in character as if he was somebody from my work and there was an emergency and that I needed to call into work immediately, or I needed to come back, or whatever the scenario was. He would make something up.
Hashtag date over.
I know. And so I would tell him, oh, okay, I will get back immediately. And then I would hang up and say, I'm so sorry, I have to go, or, whatever. But if it was going well, and by the way, it's only gone well once, I was like, oh, okay, well, I will circle back tomorrow. And then he'd be like, are you okay? And I'm like, I am. But I recommend that because meeting strangers in public places is, yeah,
Cray.
well, crazy.
Pretty much.
It's crazy.
So I do think, I remember the question that had come up also. There was a question at one point about, do you need a partner to be happy?
Yeah.
And I think that was even kind of the way we had started off just talking to Kelly about this topic. And ultimately, it went all these other beautiful directions. But there's the idea that maybe that's still a topic we should be doing. And where did that question come from?
Well, I mean, you, Jill, and so many of my other friends are going through this part of life trying to figure out what we want and what we want for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of times people are like, I am happy on my own. I'm happy in my own house. I'm happy to know when I get home, the cup is where I put it. I can watch the TV I want to watch. K-drama, right, Jill?
No comment.
And while people want to have company and stuff, they don't want to have partners unless they're going to really add value. And I feel like that's what Kelly's point was. She started off by saying she cannot fathom some partner who's going to actually make her life better. And I think that's where the question came from, is talking to my girlfriends and hearing their experiences after being in very long-term relationships and marriages, coming out of them and being like, I only want to go in if I truly do have a partner. If somebody's like, I can't, I'm overwhelmed, I'm carrying too much, and that partner can say, emotionally, physically, verbally, I'm willing to carry that for you for a while. And then you can do the same for the other person. But it doesn't feel like that's happening right now. And so a lot of my friends are opting to be single because they would prefer to just handle their own kuleana, their own responsibilities. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the topic came up. But hey, man, you produced the episode with me. Where'd it come up for you?
I think that when you have spent half of your life in a relationship, sometimes you start paying attention more to the other person. And relationships can be your kids, your partner, your family. But sometimes you realize you haven't really been spending that much time with yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of, I think for me, it's just a transition period probably. But it feels really good to spend time with myself. And like you said, decide what I want to do and how I want to do it. I thought it was also interesting that with you and Kelly, she said, my love language is acts of service. And that was a really funny, great, honest part of the conversation. But it was also interesting when you guys started talking about, well, what do you want, in bed after sex? Do you want somebody you can talk to? Or just somebody who is great in bed? Mm-hmm. Maybe more masculine. And you kind of had different perspectives on that. So I think that's interesting, too, to think about. We have different love languages, if you want to call it that way. I don't know if you know what yours is or if you even believe in that idea at all.
In love language?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with Kelly. Like, acts of service, I think that was such a unique response, and it resonated with me because somebody can show me how much they love me by showing up, by helping, somebody who's present. I mean, I think that seems like a given, but actually it's not as easy to find. I think my love language really is, and I go back to it, is partnership. Like somebody who can carry my load when I need help, and somebody who will trust me to allow me to carry theirs when they need help. And I said it before, I like somebody I can talk to. It's not enough for somebody to be masculine and strong, and I don't know why I use that voice every time we do this, but and fix things. I need a friend. I need somebody who can make me laugh and who is smart, who can feed my brain. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like so much of our time is not in bed. So if you cannot stimulate me intellectually, it's not going to be enough if you're just stimulating me physically. We can't live a whole life in bed, like we got shit to do.
Another thing I want to talk about a little bit is that, it also came up on the show that you are a writer and an actor. And we talk a lot about reinvention, just even with the concept of why we're doing this, because we're doing it in our lives. Everybody we know around us is doing it in their lives. Can you tell us a little about that?
I mean, we touched on that in the show too, right? Like the industry is, the Hollywood industry it's changed. It's changing and it's changed. And I wrote for TV and I wrote for animation and I've written features. And anyways, I'm a writer, and it's a totally different industry now. And it's been impossible for so many of us to have jobs. And that trickles down to the entire industry, for producers, for hair and makeup, for transpo, for everybody. There's just less shows being made, and the way that we're greenlighting things has changed. I think it's a microcosm of the country in general. I mean, everything is just really in transition and jobs are hard to get. So, what was the question?
Well, what I know, right? Reinvention. What does that mean? No, what I think is interesting, though, is Hollywood and the kinds of jobs you've done. It's about storytelling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you're not going to continue writing or doing having those other outlets creatively. But I think one of the coolest things was when Kim said, I want to start a podcast. I said, okay, well, what questions do you have in your life? And Kim was like, she had like 95,000 questions, and I couldn't keep up with my pen or my typewriter, whatever the hell I was using.
You were not using a typewriter.
Just kidding.
We're not from the 80s. But we are from the 80s.
I know. I was typing on my computer, but I was like, oh my God, like she has all of these great questions, and I could see her in a writer's room because she could get into her own character and in anybody else's character. But in your life, you had so many questions about, how do I find the right relationship? And what do I do after one child has moved out and I'm working on communication with that one and the other one? How do I handle like finances in a family where maybe somebody has passed away and there's a lot of struggle and nobody wants to talk about it? So I think the coolest thing was a lot of the material that we can use in different kinds of ways, whether it's a scripted feature or a TV show that come from our life, are showing up in the podcast because they're happening right now. So it's just kind of exciting to be able to tell stories, which is what we're doing here, in a different way.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like, I had the page, as writers, we call it the page. And I was writing on the page, and I can rewrite the page, and I can develop stuff and make it better and figure out the crimes and what the motivations were and the plot points and the excitement.
She wrote on NCIS for a while. We were so probably like, oh, go Kim, go Mama Kim.
But you get to rewrite that, right? And now here I am out here in life, and I might have been better on the page than I am in real life, because out here I'm like, I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm like, whoa, okay, so this feels a little like a horror or like a...
It's like, is it a romance or is it a mystery?
It's so ridiculous. It's kind of spoofing something. Yeah, I have so many questions because once I came to terms with the fact that I don't actually know what the fuck is going on in my life, it really like just opened the channel up to be like, okay, so you don't know. So then now start asking questions. And that's the driving point of the podcast of why I showed up at your door and was like, hi, gonna do a podcast. Because all of these questions are the questions we're going to talk about on the show. And I don't know the answers to them. And that's why I'm talking to people who I think are wiser and more informed than I am, and people that I trust, that I actually know, my friends, because I'm so curious what other people are doing in their lives to make their lives better. I want to know other people's points of view, and I want to know, like, in an intimate way. I don't want to know an expert who's just going to give me some bullet points. Like, I want juicy, raw info. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, tell me your life sauce.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of what we've also talked about is these are the conversations that would normally be happening around Kim's kitchen counter.
Yes.
Literally. Like, people come over here, she's talking about her life, we're talking about our lives, and it's just open for business. Whatever is on your mind, no, you don't have to worry about, like, being judged or shamed. Like, you don't have to, like, keep it a secret. It's like, we need to get it out to process it.
Totally. And by the way, men, women, all ages, they're all welcome in the kitchen.
Yeah,
do you know what I
100%.
mean? Because all perspectives are necessary so that we can form the best, funnest way forward.
Yeah.
And a little bit of booze never hurt anybody.
I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, isn't this supposed to be a happy hour?
I know.
We have a technical producer named Ash who we love, and I've decided he should be the fucking bartender.
I know.
For happy hours, we need drinks. We do not have any drinks today, people, and this is going to change.
It's a mess. It's a happy mess. But
what are we doing?
I know. Where was our drink? Joe was like, Ash, are you our bartender? And then he left.
He's like, I got a show to watch.
I know, exactly. Exactly. Okay, what time are we at?
I don't even know. Is it still recording? Oh, look at that.
What should we do? Should we
should
do an
talk about
outro?
upcoming episodes.
You kind of did.
Oh, we did a little bit. What's next week? What's on Tuesday?
Okay, so folks, next Tuesday, we are dropping episode number 2.
Yeah.
And I am so excited because it's my family. You know, good local girl. You guys should meet my family so you guys know who I am. I'm bringing in my auntie. I'm bringing in my sister. And we are talking about the word hapa, about being mixed and messy. We're doing 3 generations of this idea of what is hapa. Yeah, because...
Wait, where are you from?
I'm from Oklahoma.
What are you talking about? Mixed? What?
What is mixed? What is mixed? And that's a good question. What is mixed? Do you know what I mean? But I want to thank Kelly again because I did not anticipate the podcast going so viral so quickly. And I know she's a busy woman. She just finished shooting a show and she came in and made time for us. So I do want to thank her again.
Well, so, I mean, I think that's the cadence. Just for anybody who's curious, every Tuesday we're going to have a new episode with a new topic. Mm-hmm. And every Friday we're going to have a happy hour where you just get to slow down, hopefully have some drinks, talk about it. And if you guys, if our listeners have comments, we're always interested in and we're following those. And if you have ideas for episodes or somebody you want to see on the show, let us know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you have somebody in your life who you think would be an amazing guest and has a pearl of knowledge that should be on a public platform, let us know. Because honestly, we want to hear from the community. This is a community building show. It's not an expert show, you know?
Yeah. And if it's not a person that you want to see or you think we should talk to because there's maybe a good story there, and there's just something that you're holding inside that you've been struggling with and thinking about, tell us about that too. Because maybe we feel the same way and it could give us new inspiration.
Totally. So basically you're invited to the kitchen counter, but it is BYOB because,
BYOB.
Life's tough.
I learned that today.
Yeah, it's BYOB. If you want to submit episode idea or guest or just leave a comment, go to our website, www.misshappymessthepodcast.com. Of course, you're listening to us, so you found us on your favorite podcast channel.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Thank you. I love you, Jen.
I love you too.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Mahalo. Hui ho.